What is going on, everybody? It is Ian here with Miller Garage. So renovating an Airstream certainly comes with its fair share of challenges. And one thing that I've actually seen quite a few people discuss, there's been several even YouTube videos out there that I've watched where people are talking about this very challenge and this problem, is the kind of the range and the amount of different tools that you need to tackle one of these projects. Because an Airstream is made up of a lot of different stuff. You have like sheet metal work, the aluminum on the outside, you have the steel frame, you have the wood inside, the carpentry aspect of it, some mechanical parts. So there's so many different parts of these trailers that it feels like you need just a vast array of tools. And there is some truth to that. There are some things that you just can't get by without. Some of the riveting equipment that's very specialized and some of that stuff. But today I want to show you guys something that is one tool that's relatively simple and straightforward that really can do a lot of the tasks on these Airstreams. So this is the Festool Track Saw, and Festool is a German brand and they make very high quality tools. There are several other brands that make track saws. I just really like Festool. Their stuff has a lot of features on it that are just more high-end, that make the experience a lot better. They're far more precise. They're going to last longer. And yes, they are definitely more expensive, but I'm a firm believer in you get what you pay for. And if you're not sure what a track saw is, it is basically a circular saw, so you can see the blade there, that runs along a track. And so it just sits on there and runs along like that. And these are really good because, for one, they're really versatile and they can cut a lot of different types of material. And two, they're actually very precise whenever you're using the track. So, a lot of times if you're just using a regular circular saw, it's pretty much limited to your ability to cut properly. And the other thing with most circular saws is the precision of their depth is, it's not precise at all. So, but this one, you can adjust it down to like the 16th and stuff, and so you can get very precise with it. Obviously it's still limited versus some other things like maybe a table saw or something like that, but this can do so much of the functionality, honestly, that a table saw can do in a much smaller and a much more affordable package. One of the other things that it can do is it does have the ability to miter, and so it has a very precise mitering measurement here. So you can do, if you don't know mitering, it's where the blade, let's see if I can get it to do it real quick. I don't use this function a lot, so I'm even yeah, you gotta loosen this side too. So it cuts at an angle. And so you're able to do so much with this for a very small footprint and a lesser cost than having all the different tools. So one of the other huge benefits of this is that it can cut a lot of different types of material. So with Airstreams, we're cutting a lot of aluminum, we're cutting a lot of wood and all that kind of stuff. And the tools that you would have to have if you didn't have this, like if you want to get straight cuts on aluminum, you need something like, this big stomp shear. That's like a $2,000 machine. Then our table saw is, it's like $3,500 for a saw stop table saw. And, if you get a bandsaw and like all these different things. Now, honestly, yes, they have their specific purposes. But these come in around $800 to $1,000. So, like, honestly, by comparison, it is a really good deal. And it's something that you can store in a very small space. So these come standard with just their general purpose carbide blade, and that's pretty much what we use for the majority of stuff. It is carbide tip, so again, we can cut aluminum with it. You don't want to go super thick. We're generally using it for like interior skins or something like that, or even like, you know, if we got to do a large body panel on the trailer, whenever we've done total roof replacements, we've literally laid out, you know, like a 20, I think like for the 31-foot trailers, it's about a 20-foot section of aluminum, and we got to narrow it down because we get them in 60-inch wide rolls, and we've laid out the entire strip and cut it with the track saw, using various different extensions for the tracks, because they come with just a standard one. This is actually the short one, but it comes with, I believe, like usually a 48-inch one, and then they have up to 72-inch one, and you can actually join them all together. So we've made, you know, like 10-foot sections with these, and that's how we're able to cut those long strips of aluminum. So it's really handy. All right, so I'm going to show you how this works. We're going to cut various different materials. We're going to cut some plywood today. I'm going to use it to cut sections of Kusa, which is what we use for our subfloors. Because it's the carbide blade, it does cut that as well. Obviously, as you're cutting more abrasive materials, you know, it will shorten the life of the blade. There is also masonry blades for these, and I believe that you can cut stuff like corian, and if you want to do your own countertops, I believe technically it is possible even with this track saw to be able to do some of those cuts. I've not done that yet with it. I have cut quartz with just like a cutoff wheel on a grinder, but I haven't tried it on this just because I didn't want to, you know, try to figure that out and dive into that. But I do believe you can dry cut some manufactured materials with this, which is pretty darn cool. So this track saw is super easy to use. You obviously have your track part and then your saw part. So I'm going to get the track set up first. So you obviously have the kerf of your blade, so the part that it cuts. So we got it marked, and I want this to be the piece that I'm keeping. So I'm going to put the track on my work surface side, and then I'm going to line up the track along my mark even so that it cuts on, you know, the opposite side of my mark. And then they come with these cool Festool clamps, and these actually slide into the track, and then just clamp it down on your workpiece to keep it in place. And I'm only putting one on this side just because I can't really put one over here, so I just hold it. And then you're basically ready to go. One more thing is I use a Festool Clean Tech dust collector with it. And what is really cool about this is it attaches to the saw, and it actually has like a swivel thing that's supposed to be attached on there that it clicks onto, but that broke. Somebody broke that a while ago, and I never replaced it because it just hasn't been priority. And then you actually plug the saw into the dust collector, so whenever you turn it on, it automatically turns on the dust collector, so you don't have to be, you know, turning that on and then using the saw. It's really pretty cool, and it helps a lot. So then, you know, if you're working in a shop or something, you're mitigating the amount of sawdust that's just blowing out of this thing. It's not a requirement, but it's definitely nice. Okay, so we are good to go. And a couple things. So this is technically a plunge cut, a bowl saw. So if you need to cut just right into the middle of something, you can do a plunge cut into it. But also you can kind of start on the end. Obviously when you're doing a plunge cut, you got to be careful to go slow so it doesn't like grab and jump. And that is it. It is super smooth. It creates an amazing cut. It's very clean, no splintering. And yeah, this thing is awesome. I love it. It's great for, you know, so many things. So it cuts through plywood and stuff like that like butter, but one of the other good things about this is that it has like up to a 2-inch cutting depth, and I've used it to cut some like massive, really thick wood slabs. We did some countertops in a trailer that were black walnut, and we had a 10-foot long section of wood that we used for that. It was this massive continuous countertop. And so I used a track saw to cut through that. Now we had to do, you know, step down cutting. So we cut it at like 1 inch and then 1 3/4 and then 2 inches. So it does take a little bit of time. You can't really just run through that kind of hardwood in one pass. I do believe they actually have a bigger saw because this is the TS 55. I think they have the TS 75, which I think has a bigger motor. I know it comes with the longer track, but I also think it has a stronger motor, so that one you may be capable of going, you know, through in one pass. But even so, still the fact that it's able to do that kind of, you know, really straight, beautiful cut on a huge slab like that is phenomenal. Also, as you've probably noticed, I am cutting on this 2-inch pink insulation foam, and we just get this from like Home Depot or Lowe's, and this is essentially just a spoil board, so we put it underneath. It's less important with like plywood and stuff like that, but when you're cutting aluminum, it's really necessary. I don't know how you would do it any other way because you're dealing with such a thin material. You need something underneath it, so then you just either like clamp the thing down to that or whatever, but this is really a necessary thing. With plywood, you can technically just set up sawhorses and cut it that way, but this makes it a lot easier, so I do recommend getting some of this. You know, you can, one of these pieces lasts really long because you just set your cutting depth just, you know, 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16 of an inch under your thickness, you know. So if you got 3/4 and you set it at 7/8, so then, you know, you cut through and we're not just blasting through this constantly. You're just taking a little bit out of it, so then this thing will last a long time when you're cutting. So as you can see, I use this thing a lot for a lot of different tasks. Before we got the CNC, we would cut all of the interior skins with it. We'd do a lot of the cabinet building stuff, and so this thing is invaluable if you are working on an Airstream project or really anything. And that's the benefit, is if you buy it for this, then you can use it, you know, moving forward in your life. So I am in no way like affiliated with Festool. There's no sponsorship or anything like that. We do have it linked below. They are affiliate links, so that is one way that you can help us out with some of this content, but this is an unbiased review. Just really, really love this product and pretty much everything that I have that's Festool. I can't think of any of their tools that I've bought that I have not really enjoyed using. They're all pretty phenomenal. They are pricey, but, you know, it's kind of that whole thing of if you buy something, pay more for it, it'll last longer, it'll work better. That's always been my philosophy. Alright, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, like, also follow us on Instagram, and we will see you next time.